Hey, what's going on, GameLeapers? This is Coach Cheeks, and in today's upload, we're going to be discussing the biggest win rate changes from 12.10, and there are some interesting changes here. There are lots of champions who have increased or decreased in win rate anywhere from 2.5% to up to 4%. So these are some big changes, and we are going to reveal what exactly these are and why they have happened, so you guys have a better understanding of the meta and who to pick in 12.10 and probably the rest of Season 12. Now, to master any of the champions, guys, in this video, you know what to do, right? Well, let's just check out the GameLeap website in the description and comment section, because our challenger players and coaches are uploading videos for our subscribers on the reg. Up to 20 fresh videos a week. These might be champion courses, they might be high elo VOD analyses, which are super useful. So we have everything on our website. Make sure you check it out, get signed up, and let's get into the countdown. Now, with these win rates we're about to get into, guys, these are in platinum and above. So it might not encompass every single elo, but it's pretty representative of what is meta. In other words, what is OP and what is actually working in the current patch. So first of all, let's start by talking about Syndra, number 15. Her win rate overall is around 48%, but since the durability changes, her win rate has gone up 2.7%. Now, why is this? Well, if we think about Syndra, she is a scaling mid laner. So pretty much any champion, guys, in the game that has scaling and gets better as the game goes longer, they are going to froth this patch, and Syndra is just one of them, especially when you think about her passive and her abilities. They pack more of a punch as she scales into a game. And don't forget that Syndra's laning phase is one of the best, especially for control mages on the Rift, and with assassins being less scary, it's a great patch for her. Now, ahead of Syndra coming in at number 14, we have the Donga. And for Heimerdinger, well, this patch has thrown a bit of a spanner in the works, because his win rate has decreased by almost 3% to 49 overall. And the issue for Heimerdinger is that he gets outscaled by pretty much every single mage in the game, and if you play him in the mid lane, you get outranged. If you play him in the top lane, bruisers and tanks are back on the menu, so it's very hard to make Heimerdinger work. Maybe your best chance is to play him as an AP carry in the bot lane, but whatever role you play him in, it's definitely harder to make the Donga work. Now, ahead of Heimerdinger, we have another mid laner, and this is Vex. And Vex's win rate has dropped by 2.9% in the last few days. Now, the reason for this is because if we think about Vex, she's not a DPS mage. She is a bursty, jump in your face, one combo assassin type champion, and this is why her win rate has dropped, because these type of champions are just worse off. It's harder to kill people, they have more resistances, especially in late game team fights where the enemy AD carry, for example, who you might want to jump on, if they have any sort of peel, it's very hard to do anything. So Vex's win rate has dropped considerably to around 48-49% overall. And this 2.9% drop in win rate has also happened to Nidalee. And the problem for Nidalee, being an early to mid game champion, well, you really need to end the game in 15 minutes, but guess what? It's not going to happen nearly as much because of the changes. It's going to be harder to get kills, you get outscaled, so you really have to snowball out of control now to make it work, and guess what? It's just not going to work as often. So Nidalee's win rate has gone back down to around 46% because of 12.10. Now, another AP jungler whose win rate has dropped a total 3%, this is Fiddlesticks. Now, its win rate overall is still around 50-51%, pretty respectable. But the issue for Fiddlesticks, if we think about it, kind of like Vex in a way. When you use your ultimate, you're jumping in there, right? You want the enemy champions to be squishy so you can kill them, but because they have extra HP, resistances, it's harder to make this bursty champion work. So Fiddlesticks joins the countdown, but I'm kind of tired of talking about mages, so let's talk about an AD carry or potential mid laner who is actually worse in 12.10, and this is Tristana, whose win rate has also dropped by 3% to around 50 overall. Now, the problem for Tristana is because, well, you do have really good DPS, right? Especially as the game progresses. But the issue is that in the early game in particular, you are about jumping in, proccing your Halo Blades or press the attack, and then your explosive charge. So you're kind of like Fiddlesticks and Vex in a way, where you want to jump in, blow someone up, and then get out. But because that's going to be more difficult to achieve in 12.10 because of the extra armor people are getting, the extra HP, and also the fact that in the bot lane, Enchantresses are really popular again. It's almost like Season 7 Redemption meta, where they have so much peel. So if you're jumping in, it's most likely going to end up being pretty bad. So you really have to hope you get snowballing early to really make Triss pop off. And just like Tristana, another attack damage champion who won't be sending the balance team a Christmas card, this is Aurelia. And just like Tristana, win rate down 3%, overall 46%. Not really that red hot, is it? And the reason for this, people are just harder to kill. Also, Aurelia, your DPS is good. Of course it is. But you're really about using one combo and that's it. With your flawless duet, you land this and then you go in. But the problem now is that when you do go in, you're less likely to get a kill. People are harder to kill. You're easier to peel. So it's difficult to make Aurelia work. Even though Blade of the Ruined King might be better, even if Divine Sundra might be better because champions have more HP, but it's not the best mythic for Aurelia, it's a very difficult patch for Aurel, and this is reflected in the win rate drop. But one of the few champions whose win rates has actually increased by a heck of a lot, this is Kog'Maw, and his win rate overall is close to 54%, which is one of the highest on the Rift at the moment. And I did kind of call this, to be honest, but it was easy to see, right? Because when champions get tankier, get healthier, and when Kog'Maw is able to scale into a game, this AD carry becomes one of the most powerful beings on the Rift because of the damage from his Bio-Arcane Barrage, because of the damage you might get from Ginsu's or Bork or Kraken Slayer. Whatever items you build on Kog, they are going to unleash hell on the Rift, which is why his win rate has gone up a shocking 3.1% in the last few days. And also with Kog, because he's one of those champions who's going to run lethal tempo, getting to max stacks is going to be even more doable now because fights are going to last longer, and because of this meta shift, you're probably going to have an Enchantress next to you in the bot lane to help heal you. So a champion like a Lulu, like a Soraka, like a Sona, all of these champs are ideal for Kog'Maw because they can keep him alive. And to be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw Kog in pro play when it comes around in 12.10. He is incredibly strong right now. Now, one of those supports who isn't as happy as the Enchantress is in 12.10, this is Alistar. And the reason being is because Alistar is one of those go-in supports. Now, of course, you can play Alistar like a peel bot where you just sit back and you just save your W and Q for when someone jumps in. But you're a melee champion, your W doesn't have the best range, and you really need flash to do anything. And even if you do something, it probably won't work out because one-shotting people just doesn't exist that much anymore. So champion combinations with Alistar in the bot lane, like Draven, like Kalista, like Tristana, they are just less scary and honestly suboptimal because of how the game is now oriented around the mid to late game around scaling champions. So Ali won't be mooing as much in 12.10. Now ahead of Alistar, we have a champion who really won't like it when he sees Bramble Vest all over the place, when he's against bruisers who can trouble him a lot like Jax, and this is Tryndamere. And you might be like, but Tryndamere is a scaling champion. Like once you get Kraken Slayer and a bunch of attack speed crit and you're spinning around all over the place split pushing, isn't this good for Tryndamere? Well, for sure, this sounds good, but the point is there are other champions who are a lot stronger now when they scale into a game, and if you do play Tryndamere in your team fighting, which is probably going to happen in these elos, how are you going to kill anyone? How are you going to kill a Kog'Maw with a Janna next to him? How are you going to kill a Vayne with a Soraka next to her? You will not be able to do anything, especially with mages back on the menu who outrange you, who can keep you at bay. It's very hard to make Trynd work, and because of those nerfs earlier in the season, he has really fallen from grace and his overall win rate is 47%. Now this next champion on the countdown, starting off the top 5, I kind of predicted that Corki was going to be low-key broken in 12.10, and even though his win rate is just 48%, but it has gone up 3.2%. Now let's try to figure this out. Why would Corki be better? Well, of course he's a scaler. The laning phase is really when he's most vulnerable. Now because he's getting more HP, more armor, more magic resist, he's going to be able to get to 2 to 3 items, whether you're going Shield Boat, whether you're going Essence Reaver, whether you're going Muramana with Luden's Tempest and then Ravenous Hydra. The champion is just a lot better off in 12.10 because he is allowed to scale. I would still be very careful though about picking him into lanes like maybe Syndra, who's better, maybe Orianna, maybe against an Azir. Just anyone who scales almost as well as you, it will still be hard to make Corki work, but remember in team fights as well now, there is less getting your head in there. Now of course you have your package, but you can just sit back and you can just use your rockets and hold your package to exert pressure on the enemy team. So it's a much better patch for Corki. But team compositions and champions in the game, that's probably going to matter for Corki a lot more than it would for these other champions. And maybe one of these champions is up next on the countdown coming in at number 4. This is Orianna, whose win rate is 50%. And for Ori, whose win rate is normally around like 47%, it's gone up 3.4%. So this legit is telling us that Ori is a lot better and actually kind of strong. As a control mage, a bit like Syndra, who has a very good laning phase and scales incredibly well and would really work with any team composition. If you have a J4 in the jungle, right, the wombo combo type of setup. If you have a Jinx or a hyper carry ADC like a Vayne, you can put your ball on her, speed her up, so she's a great versatile mid laner. And like I said, because she scales so well, that's going to happen more in 12.10. So Ori is another champion who is going to be very happy indeed. Now the top 3 champions on this countdown whose win rates have changed the most, well, they've all gone down. And the first of these is Nocturne. And just close your eyes for a second and think about Nocturne's ultimate. How on earth is this going to be good in 12.10? Because when you jump in, you won't be killing as many people. They're harder to kill, and especially in the mid to late game when the AD carry who you jump on has a Soraka, has a Sona next to them, a Janna who just ults you away. Get me out. It just sounds so bad for Nocturne. Even if you are a lethal tempo stacker, and you probably have a much better chance of stacking this, you just don't have any scaling now. I mean, I'm saying all this is a bit hyperbolic. His win rate is still 50%, so it's not bad. You can still make him work, but it is a lot worse. 3.5% drop, it means something. But a champion who blows Nocturne's win rate drop out of the water, this is Rel, the number 2 champion in terms of win rate changes in 12.10, going down 4%. Now we mentioned Alistar before, right? Now what similarities does Alistar have with Rel? Well, these are all in jump on your face supports. And what's wrong with these this patch? Well, champions are harder to kill. AD carries who are strong strong at AD carries like Kog'Maw. Hyper carry scalers, you might even throw Jinx in there as well. Her win rate has also gone up lots. So if you pick Rel, guys, if you pick Alistar, one of these engage all-in supports, you really have to play them like a peel bot. It might be boring, it's probably not why you want to pick the champion, but it's just how the meta is at the moment. That's the best chance you have of winning. But the champion who's going to be the unhappiest, guys, in 12.10 is actually kind of funny because I'm picturing this champion powerballing into a team fight and just getting peeled and then doing nothing for the next 10-15 seconds. This, of course, is Rammus, and if there are any Rammus mains out there, let me know how 12.10 is going. I mean, I can kind of tell from the stats here. So a 4.1% drop in win rate, 49% overall, so it's actually still maybe playable. But like I said for Nocturne, if you see appealing support on the enemy team, get out of that champ select and save yourself, because it's just too hard to make work. Imagine running into a Kog'Maw as a Rammus who's got a Janna next to him, and you've lost half your HP before you even taunt him. Then you taunt him, but he's got cleanse, and then the game's over, and you lose LP, and you sell the Rammus skin you just bought. But maybe the encouragement here is that this is in Platinum and above, so if you're playing in lower elos, for sure Rammus is probably going to be better, but in the overall state of the game at the moment, the meta, which really is defined by higher elos, Rammus has really taken a kit, but everyone, guys, in this countdown has taken a hit. So let me know in the comment section if you play any of these champions, or just tell me about the champion you play. Do they feel better? Do they feel worse? What builds are you guys going? But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you did enjoy it and you want these to continue, please remember to leave a like down below. Hit that subscribe button as well so you don't miss any of our future Season 12 uploads. It's going to be red hot this season. And until tomorrow's upload, this has been Coach Cheeks. Peace.